You're listening to Tech Gumbo on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Baton Rouge's local talk and information leader.
Welcome back to the fourth segment today. I want to remind everybody, as always, you can get a free network assessment for your business computer network. It's a $250 value. We'll give you a detailed report on the server, all the PCs, all the users, any kind of security breaches that you might have or concerns of security across your network. It's a pretty comprehensive report, totally free. We'll even give you a free copy of Microsoft Office 365. All you have to do is go to our website, gulfsouthtech.com/risk, or you can call us at the office, 225-216-2169. Just ask for Haggai. I'll be glad to help you out. So we're talking in this segment, we talked last segment about, what is a backup disaster recovery plan. So now we're going to talk about how to actually develop one. Because of all of the recent flooding, where so many homes and businesses thought they had a good system, they're finding out now that what they were doing, whether they were using tapes or one external drive, they had two external drives where they were backing up a copy and taking the disk home with them and swapping them out each week. Well, when their house and their office flooded, they didn't have a good system anymore. So we want to talk about what are some of the specific procedures that you need to do when you're developing your plan, your procedures. What considerations do you have to worry about? The first thing you want to do is look at the delegation of task. What is the critical, reliable, who's going to do what? Who's going to perform the situation, the backup and recovery task? Who's going to make the policies that determines what files and computers are backed up? How, who's going to know about it? Who is responsible for performing the backups? If you back up or occurs automatically, who handles any interruptions? Are there going to be messages, to let you know, hey, there have been problems with the backups? Who does the backup when the assigned backup operator is unavailable? Who's if there's a successful or a failure of the backup, who notifies the users? So if you're know who's doing what with your backup procedures. They have to be time-sensitive backup questions. Do you back up all of your information? Do you back up the full, everything on the server, or are you backing up just the data? Do you not backing up the operating system because that takes up extra space? Okay, fine. Then you have to make sure you have copies of that operating system on a media that would allow you to get your server back operational. Should your backups occur immediately or before, at business hours, or you're doing them multiple times during the day? Is it backing up everything on the server, or are you just backing up just the changes? How long would it take to retrieve the backups if you do have a failure? And then how long does it take to do a full restore if the server fails? Now, in the event of a backup problem, you have to make sure you take certain issues into consideration before the backup problem begins. You have to determine who is notified if a backup problem occurs. If the backup fails, or because of hardware problems, is there a standby ready? Are you working with your vendor? Does your vendor get notified? Like if it's Gulf South, would we be notified if your system is not backing up properly? And then how long did it take, or will it take, to replace failed hardware? You have to determine the availability of the hardware and the software that, from a technical support issue. So then you have to start looking at things like, does your technical support staff know how to configure your server, get it back operational? Or do you have to use a third-party vendor like a Gulf South Technology to come in and if it's a server, or if it's your local computers, and all of those types of things have to be taken into consideration. There are security considerations. If you're using tapes, and we really hope you're not doing that anymore, where are those tapes being stored? If you have external drives that you're using, How often are those drives being changed out? And what happens to those tapes and or drives in the event of a fire, flood, theft, some other natural disaster, or like we mentioned, a rogue employee who decides to really take a hammer to one of those drives just to get back at the employer, and that's not a what-if scenario. That really does happen. There's some policy considerations. What if, what is the policy for backup? How is your plan? Is your plan in compliance? Are there certain requirements for the industry that you're in? That does your industry require, has to be off cloud? Does it have to be encrypted when it's transmitted off-site into the cloud? Are they responsible? Anybody responsible for backing up their own individual PC or client on the network? You have to get in, really look at the policies as what's important, who's backing up what and where and when. Some technical considerations you have to worry about. Does the system have enough, power to meet the conditions you need for your backup? If you have a terabyte of information on your server, but your backup system only holds 200 gigs, then you don't have a real good backup system. So you have to be able to have enough storage in your backup system, both on-site and off-site, if you're using an off-site, and we strongly encourage you to do so. Keep your system, operational. Make sure you have enough to keep everything backed up properly. Are there logs created, and are they correct? Is there the path, the file names, the file sizes, do each one of those files, you need to test your system so that every time, once a quarter, twice a year at least, you need to, if you have a backup system, you need to go into that system, see if you can pull up some files, see if you're using an offsite system that says, hey, we can spin up a server in the cloud based upon this. Go ahead, spin up that server. Make sure it'll work for you so that you can get remote access to it. Does it do backup and restore, or are all the changes really being copied? Are you going all the way down to the file level? Or is it just backing up folders? How much information is being backed up? So you have to go in and test it and really look at it, and then have a PC available that you can back up, do a restore to that computer. Will that information be operational when you restore that computer? You need to document your system, because especially if you're working with an insurance company, when they come in and they say, okay, before we can reimburse you, what are your plans? What are the policies? Is it written? Let's see what you're wanting to do. How were you going to do it? And it makes it, working with an insurance company, so much easier when you can say, here's our plan to get everything back operational. Here's what we've been doing since the failure. And insurance companies love documentation. So when you're working with them and you can show, here's our plan, this is how our plan is working, this is what we've been doing, we've tested it. And so when they're ready to reimburse you for the outage or for the damage or whatever has happened that's caused you to use the restored system, having documentation makes it easier. You want to keep, if you have CDs with your information on it, label the CDs. Any media that you have, whether label that media so when you've got to start recreating everything, it's much easier just to put it all back together. You want to catalog your information so that you know what files have been backed up, what files are important, and then you keep your log files so that you know the names of everything that's been backed up and restored. So a log file is very useful when restoring data because you can print it out and you can read it even just if it's from a text editor. So conducting, and verifying these operations is really critical to your business. And we've had so many clients, unfortunately, who didn't, take our advice at Gulf South in advance. We've had several success stories who did take advantage of the offsite backup, and they came up very quickly. We've had, unfortunately, several clients who had all of their information go underwater, and we've had to ship their drives off to get the data recovered. And it's been several weeks taken them to get back on operational. Now that we have them, we're able to start rebuilding their servers and get them up. But it's taken 2 or 3 weeks worth of time that they didn't have their information. And so if you're using a system that has on-site and off-site, you can be operational within hours of a catastrophic failure. It's really, really important that you take the time, take a look at your backup and disaster recovery system. If you don't have a backup and disaster recovery plan, give us a call. My name is Haggai Davis with Gulf South Technology Solutions. You can reach us at 225-216-2169. Our website is gulfsouthtech.com. We're Gulf South Tech. We want to give, for all your business, computer, network, and IT needs, at Gulf South, we'll give you the right solution, right response right now. And we say that because we mean it. It's what we're going to do to take care of you and your business network. Once again, you've been listening to Tech Gumbo here on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Baton Rouge's local talk and information leader.